Welcome to Africa Rise, and today we are breaking down one of the most explosive political interviews to come out of Nigeria's media space in recent weeks. Because when Rufai Oseni speaks, political analysts listen. When Rufai Oseni speaks with sources behind him, politicians reach for their phones. And in this interview, Rufai Oseni did not come to play politics. He came to tell the truth, whether the parties involved liked it or not. So sit with me, because what this man said will fundamentally change how you see the 2027 presidential race. The bombshell about Peter Obi. Let us start with the most direct and most talked about moment of the entire interview. Peter Obi had publicly stated that his reason for leaving the African Democratic Congress was the court case surrounding the party's leadership structure. He framed it diplomatically, referencing Atiku Abubakar as his elder brother Tiku, positioning his exit as a reluctant but legally necessitated decision. Rufai Oseni was having none of it. On air in front of his audience, Rufai looked straight into that conversation and said, "Peter Gregory Obi, you and I know that it is not because of the court case that you left. It is because you were already boxed into a corner." He went further. He told Peter Obi directly that he could write a statement to deny it. That was his prerogative, but Rufai made clear that the denial would not change the facts on the ground, because Rufai had done what political journalists do. He walked the phone lines, he spoke to his sources, he made the calls over the weekend. And what those sources told him, consistently, was this: by the time Peter Obi made his exit from the ADC, the party's internal structures had already been systematically captured by the Atiku camp. State chairmanships, delegate networks, executive positions, all of it had been quietly taken over before the legal drama even became the public story. There was no fair environment left for Obi to operate in. He was not leaving voluntarily. He was being pushed out of a room whose doors had already been locked against him. Rufai also revealed something even more significant. According to his sources, there had been a consensus discussion, reportedly at the Ibadan level, about zoning the ADC presidential candidacy to the south. That agreement, if it was made, was subsequently abandoned by the Atiku camp. When that consensus collapsed, Peter Obi had no path forward inside the ADC. And so he left, because above all else, Peter Obi's primary objective is to be on the ballot in 2027. Everything else is secondary to that goal. The numbers, Rufai goes cold and clinical. But Rufai Oseni did not stop at the political drama. He went into the data. And this is where his analysis became genuinely uncomfortable for the opposition, because the numbers he laid out told a story that no amount of political enthusiasm can wish away. He took his audience back to the 2023 general elections and broke down the performance of each candidate with surgical precision. Peter Obi, running on the Labour Party platform, came third with 6,101,533 votes. His performance was geographically concentrated but impressively deep, winning Abia, Enugu, Anambra, and IMO in the southeast, often with 80 to 90% of the vote share. He won Edo, Delta, and Cross River in the south-south. He took Plateau and Nasarawa in the north-central. And then the result that Rufai noted still has not been forgiven inside the APC. Peter Obi won Lagos State. Lagos, Tinubu's home base, the city that was supposed to be impenetrable. Peter Obi walked in and won it. Rufai described that as a significant political blow to the APC campaign. He also noted Obi's win in the FCT Abuja, which triggered extensive litigation about whether the Capital Territory should count as a qualifying state. The Supreme Court ultimately ruled it was not compulsory, but the point, Rufai argued, was already made. Rabiu Musa Kwankwaso came fourth with 1,496,687 votes, winning Kano State on the back of the powerful Kwankwaso movement. His reach beyond Kano was limited, but within his stronghold, his base was organized, motivated, and real. Now here is where Rufai's analysis landed its most striking blow. He asked his audience a simple question: what if they had combined forces? Obi and Kwankwaso together, 7,598,220 votes. President Tinubu won with 8,794,726 votes. Even combined, they would still have lost. They would still have fallen short of Tinubu's winning total. That fact alone, Rufai argued, should puncture a great deal of the emotional narrative that has surrounded opposition coalition talk. But then he brought in the third variable, Atiku Abubakar, who polled 6,984,520 votes for the PDP. Add all three together, and you arrive at approximately 14,582,740 combined votes, nearly double what President Tinubu received in 2023. And that, Rufai explained, is why the Ibadan Summit was greeted with such genuine excitement. Because if those three forces could have unified, the mathematical case for victory was overwhelming. The problem, as Rufai noted with characteristic bluntness, was that individual ambition proved stronger than collective strategy. Each man's personal aspiration superseded the political logic of coming together. On Atiku and the nature of political ambition, Rufai also addressed the recurring question about Atiku Abubakar's continued presidential pursuit. He has been running in various forms since 1993. Some observers suggested this might be his final attempt. Rufai disagreed sharply. He invoked the famous words of legendary Liverpool manager Bill Shankly, who once said that people think football is about life and death, but they are wrong. It is more important than that. Rufai applied that framework directly to Atiku. As long as Atiku Abubakar is in good health, he will keep running. He even put a specific prediction on record. If Atiku remains healthy, he will run in 2031. Mark it down, Rufai said. The NDC and the structural problem. Rufai then turned his attention to the NDC itself, the vehicle Peter Obi has now chosen. And here, his assessment was sobering. The Nigeria Democratic Congress was registered on 5 February 2026 through a court order. It is, by any honest measure, a brand new party. And Rufai raised the critical question that its supporters need to answer. Does it have the state-level structures to challenge what the APC has already built? Millions of registered sympathizers are not the same as a functioning party architecture at ward, local government, and state levels. That infrastructure takes time to build. And time, heading into 2027, is the one resource the NDC does not have in abundance. Rufai also pointed to the obedient movement's visible loss of momentum since 2023. Some figures have stepped back. The emotional wave is not at the same height. And in Kano, Kwankwaso's stronghold, Governor Abba Yusuf's alignment with the APC means that the northern vote will be more divided than it was 2 years ago. The ballot strategy, Rufai's sharpest warning. Perhaps the most chilling part of Rufai's analysis was his assessment of what the real strategy against Peter Obi actually is. He was explicit. The goal of Obi's most powerful opponents is not to defeat him at the polls. It is to ensure he never gets on the ballot. Rufai stated that political mapping conducted across the APC and other parties confirms that Peter Obi is the only opposition figure capable of genuinely threatening President Tinubu in 2027. And precisely because of that, the machinery will be deployed through litigation, through party process manipulation, through every available legal mechanism to remove him from the race before Election Day. The ADC crisis, Rufai concluded, was not an accident, it was a rehearsal. The closing truth. Rufai Oseni closed his analysis with a statement that deserves to be heard clearly. He said that by failing to unite, by allowing ego and ambition to override political strategy, the opposition may have handed President Tinubu a significantly easier path to a second term. He was even willing to go further. Even if they had been together, he asked, would they truly have been able to defeat an incumbent who knows exactly how to use power? He urged his audience to stop being delusional about what coalition arithmetic alone can achieve against a president running with the full weight of state might. But he closed on this, and Africa Rise believes it deserves to be the final word tonight. The election is not decided. Voter apathy is itself a political outcome, and those who benefit from low turnout understand that better than anyone. Every Nigerian has a right and a responsibility to come out and make their voice heard. Let INEC do its job. Let the people decide. and let the best candidate win. That is what Rufai Oseni said. That is the moment of truth, and whether you agree with him or not, the numbers he laid out do not lie. This is Africa Rise. Stay informed, stay engaged, and never stop asking the hard questions.